Hi guys, welcome back to We Should Talk, a pop culture interview series from In the Know. I'm your host, Gibson Johns, and this week on the podcast we have Crystal Minkoff from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which is back on Bravo. You know, I think Crystal was such a great addition to the show last year, and I'm so glad that she's back for a second go-round. And I had a little less time with her, so we just jumped right into it. We talked about kind of comparing her first season to her second season and not really having a break between those two seasons, which I think probably kind of helped her. And also sort of her friendships with Garcelle and Sutton and people calling them the dream team. But apparently this season she said that there's more bumps in the road there than I think that somebody might expect, which was really interesting to hear from her. You know, we got into the Erika of it all, and then also it seemed like this season we're going to hear a lot more about Crystal's journey with her eating disorder, which she's had for a long time, and she's going to bravely open up about it a little bit more this season. And also I asked her if she had seen Jackie Goldschneider, who opened up about it on Jersey recently, and obviously every experience is very different, but it's interesting that we're seeing these two air back to back. And she said that her and Jackie have been in correspondence, which is really great to hear, that they can kind of lean on one another. So yeah, I love Crystal. I think she's a great addition to the show. I love her approach to being a housewife and her mentality around it. So yeah, it was great. It was a great little interview, and again, I'm just happy that Beverly Hills is back. Keep listening for my interview with Crystal Minkoff. Tune in to The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Wednesdays at 8 p.m. on Bravo, and please rate, review, and subscribe to We Should Talk on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, so we're here with Crystal Minkoff from The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which is back. Crystal, how are you? It's your second go round. Are you ready to do this all again?
No, but I have no choice. Look, I already did it. I just have to watch it now, which is actually harder than filming it, but it'll be okay.
Does it feel like because you guys jumped right back into filming pretty quickly after that reunion? Do you feel like you got any sort of break, or do you kind of feel like this has been one long season almost?
It's been one long season. I feel like the only break I've had since starting this was, before today, like the last month we wrapped, and I've had my regular life back. And then, I would say the last week has been you could feel the energy.
Oh yeah.
People ready to watch, or oh God, what did that look like again? Yeah.
Probably since the trailer, right? I feel like the trailer probably kickstarts a lot of that energy.
Yeah. So it'll be fine. Look, I've done it, and I know more now. And yeah, it happened, right? It all happened.
So you said you know more now. I'm curious what you kind of see as your biggest learning or takeaway from that first season that you are keeping top of mind this time.
Yeah. Last year, I took everything to heart, filming and rewatching it. And though I still am quite, sensitive, I talked to Kyle this morning, and she's like, "You're so sensitive." I'm like, "I know." And I didn't know I was sensitive, but when you're in this environment, it really challenges you. But I realize now that it's fleeting, and it comes and goes. And even though while it's happening, it feels like it's forever, it actually isn't. And people are ready for the next. And it entertains people, and it takes them out of their life. And yeah, so I think hopefully I can hold on to that, during the harder episodes.
It's also easier for Kyle to say that, because she's been around. She's been doing this for so long that she probably doesn't really remember what it was like that first season or two. You know what I mean? So
yeah, or even season 6. I mean, she's been on for 12 years.
Right.
And yeah, so I think with anything, each time you do it, it probably gets a little easier and different. It felt different this year than last year. But the dynamics are different, and that's and friendships are different. So that also changes.
Definitely. So who would you say you have the most different relationship this year than you did your first season? I think I might know your answer to this, but yeah. Is that who it is?
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. We really tried to stick a pin in it, is that the term? Last year, kind of halfway through, but it still felt lingering, for me, and I'm sure it was for her, because you can't just, after weeks of arguing, resolve it. But we both made that commitment to chill, and we did, and we were able to even off camera get to know each other better.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys are you guys, I feel like have gotten to such a place where people are even, I mean, people refer to you, Garcelle, and Sutton as the dream team. A lot of people refer to you as such. And I mean, like that just speaks to, I think, the level of relationships you've been able to build in your 2 years. What do you make of people calling you that? I mean, you guys did that editorial at the end of last season together, which was a great moment. But people really love to see you three together. And I think it's I'm one of those people.
Yeah, that's sweet. Yeah, I don't know why, but I mean, like to think of myself as someone that always has very individual friendships. I mean, I certainly don't have any friends in my life that I am on a team with, because if I was, we all should not be friends in that group.
Right.
But obviously the situation is a little different. But I will say, I go through a very bumpy path in the beginning, but just as my relationship with Sutton, maybe you have to go through those bumpy paths to get to a better result and end. And yeah, and it's really nice to have like real friendships with the two of them. And because they've always been very close. And I always respected that. And I think they know that. Like I respected their personal friendship. And but as I got to know them more individually, it just, we really had a good time together.
That's nice. I like to hear that. So who would you, on the flip side, who are we going to see you spar with, go back and forth the most with this season?
Well, I do struggle with the two of them, actually.
Oh, with them too. That's interesting.
Yeah. And that's going to be probably the hardest thing for me to watch, because, I'm on this end. If I like hated them now, I would be like, whatever. But, but we talk about it, we're like, we're going to have a bumpy, the audience doesn't know what happened, but, we know where we are, and that's really nice. But I have other things with other people, and that's also going to be hard. It's not easy. It's not fun to watch that.
Of course not.
Yeah,
but it keeps it interesting, I think, to have having all these dynamics changing the whole time, be so fluid. It makes it unexpected. I think that's what makes for a good season.
Yeah, and I think I do notice that there's people that just will never kind of hold each other accountable, and like I expect that of my real friends to do that with me, because I would do that with my real friends. And so if I am quote sparring with someone who is my friend, as painful that is, that's because there is sort of realness to the friendship, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
that you're gonna get to a more real place. Yeah, totally. Definitely. So in the trailer, we see this moment where Erika like shoots back at you that, caring about the victim, like you're bringing up caring about the victims just because it's cool, and she shoots back that she only really cares about herself. And to me, my question out of that is like, now that we've had a full season of the Erika of it all and everything that involves, and I know that last season, I interviewed a lot of you guys last season, you had to walk on eggshells a little bit around it. You had to sort of tiptoe around what you were saying. And do you feel less of that this year? Is it more? Do you still feel that? I'm curious where you are mentally, or where we're going to see you guys. Is it going to be less carefully treading that water, or?
Yeah, so that's a great question, because we all approached it differently because of our depth of friendship with her.
Right.
I met her on the show last year, and she filed for divorce 3 weeks later. So it's like, it was brand new for me. So not only am I dealing with a brand new show, I'm in serious conflict with Sutton, but now all this stuff is being revealed piece by piece, but every day. It was challenging for me, but a lot less so than the girls who are close to her, because they felt, you feel differently about your close friend, when this is happening. So whereas now, and yes, everyone was on eggshells for those particular reasons. And now, because things feel more settled, it's really about the sort of aftermath and those questions about how she's dealing with those things that were being revealed last year. It was easy for the audience to sort of come at us like, why didn't you ask that? It's not easy. And it was hard for everybody, and everyone had a different level of comfort. But it's different this year. It feels like we're all sort of, now that part has in the past. Now it's sort of a different experience.
Mm-hmm. It's almost as if, I mean, this just came to me, but it's almost as if you guys in this season, I'm guessing, you can kind of approach it more in the ways that viewers were able to approach it last season, because there is that extra space and there is
Right.
that hindsight, right? And
Yes, totally.
yeah,
And it's really not even about the audience. It's just because we were in discovery at the time, but when the audience watched it, they were 6 months sort of ahead of us.
exactly.
And so they knew more. And now filming it again, we now all are kind of caught up, because nothing really doesn't seem like a lot has happened since we wrapped. So it's sort of like that. It's more of like things have settled and now we can react to what happened.
We're all sort of on the same,
Yeah,
more of
yeah.
the same
It
playing
wasn't
field.
like that. And I think
Right,
people
it wasn't.
really didn't get that.
That's a good point.
Yeah, people didn't really understand that. But now it's that what makes it easier now is
Mhm.
because they're on the same plane.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier, like, people not holding each other accountable. And this is not just about Erika, but just in general in this group. I recently, what people call the Fox Force 5, which is that sort of Rinna, Kyle, Dorit, Erika, Teddy kind of group. They were on a podcast together, and they're still very much a unit in certain realms and situations. Are we going to see more of that on this season? Do you still feel that as somebody who is relatively new to this group? I know it's an expanding group, so there's more people to befriend outside of that. But I'm curious, what are we going to see in respect to that?
So it's funny because people like that group is such, when I hear that term, it's like, you obviously know who it is. And because I knew Teddy before, I probably view it a little bit differently than had I not known any of them. I probably would have felt like, wow, they really are a clique.
Yeah.
But because I know that they have a very strong friendship as a group, it certainly doesn't affect me, but I definitely see their closeness. I mean, I don't think even they would deny that, I don't think they like the term, certainly.
But is it to you, is it impenetrable, or is it like not something you really care to penetrate into that? Like, how do you know what I mean? Like,
is it impenetrable? I mean,
no.
no.
They have each other's backs, I think, in a different way. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Right. I know. I mean, I've been I like to think,
tough.
Yeah, that's a tough one, because I feel like I have my friendships very individually, personally.
Yeah, it's nice. Mm-hmm.
I really work hard at, like, we have like a group text, right? But like, I make it a point to text who I'm individually, because I don't want it to be grouped up, and because that's just who I am. But when people are closer, it does allow space for you to be close with other people too.
Mm-hmm.
So if that
Exactly.
is the case, I did get really close with Sutton and Garcelle, then like maybe that was a benefit. I don't know, but it doesn't negate my friendships with the other women for me personally.
I think that's a solid viewpoint to have on it. And also, judging by the trailer, it seems as though something that we're going to hear more from you about is your struggle with an eating disorder, and you're going to open up a little bit more about that this season. I would just love if you could speak a little bit to your willingness to put that on camera and kind of talk through some of those things on camera this season.
Yeah. I've had my eating disorder for over 30 years now, so it's very much a part of me, and almost I think what I realized while filming, a little too comfortable. And I think that's probably why I started to discuss it, because I felt very comfortable about it, yet I didn't want it to not, I still really needed to work on it. I still need to work on it. And I post something about it, and it gets brought up on the show. And at first I was like, did not want to talk about it, because I'm like, I'm not close enough with any of these people here. But I weirdly felt comfortable and safe about it. And I knew that it was important to just be really authentic, and it's a part of me, and we're all whole people, and we all have great things about our lives and struggles. And that was one of mine. And, it's going to be hard to watch though, I'm sure.
I'm
to like
sure, but
really have hard moments about
I'm
it.
sure, and I commend you. One, I commend you for opening up about it, and two, I think I don't know if you watch the Jersey franchise, Real Housewives of New Jersey, but Jackie was obviously everyone has their different experiences with an eating disorder, but she was. It's interesting that these two things are coming around the same time because the season's just coming to a close. But she was so brave and so raw about it. I'm curious if you were able to watch any of that.
I haven't, and I'm actually going to start watching it this week. Because I knew about it because it's all my social, and I messaged Jackie, and we've DM'd each other back and forth just
That's
to
nice to hear.
sort of solidarity and support, because part of you is like, oh, it's really going to be positive for the audience who needs it, but you do get some pushback and backlash about it. And so it's nice to have someone who specifically has a very like similar situation as me, even though our eating disorder is different, being on TV, being on a similar show, to have that support is going to be really helpful. And I've heard, her talking about it has been really powerful, and I want to watch it and support that because it's not easy to talk about it. It's one of those things that people have a lot of shame about, but I think that a lot of people suffer who don't want to ever talk about it. So if that's what we have to do, we will.
I think so too. And I think one thing that's really helpful about seeing, at least I'm watching Jackie's experience, is I think a lot of times on housewife shows, people have their storylines, and we like to wrap it up with a bow at the end of a season. And then it's like, what's next season? But I think what I really kind of was reminded of through Jackie's experience is that it's not, there's like, we can't have the finite language around it. It's a relationship that you're going to have to kind of always be dealing with. And so I think that's definitely something that I learned from that. And again, I commend you for opening up, because it was clearly hard for her, and it's clearly hard for you, but it's going to help a lot of people to understand it, even if they're not experiencing it.
Yeah, it's not a storyline. It is just a piece of you. It doesn't define me. It doesn't define everyone who goes through it, but it's a piece of you, and you can't tie it up in a bow, unfortunately. But it is something that I know whatever happens, what it looks like, I'm proud to talk about it.
Good. Well, if there's anything, is there anything else that we can tease for this season when it comes to you? Is there somebody else who your friendship with them, is it going to go in unexpected directions? Who's that one person?
I feel like you'll see. I teased it, and it's going to be hard, but ultimately, like I said, bumps in the road really allow you to get closer to someone. And so I think that's what friendships are, right? And that's sort of the moral, what I think people want for the show, and what I really want in my life. And that's the beauty of the show. So whatever hard parts you have to go through.
Oh, lastly, Ashley, Crystal, I'm curious. BravoCon was just announced. That's going to happen this fall, and I went to that first one 3 years ago now. But I feel like, as a housewife that joined during the pandemic, you haven't fully gotten to experience like the in-person kind of electricity of being around that, like hundreds or thousands of Bravo fans.
Crazy.
Have you had any sort of like real life experiences like that where you've been around a lot of Bravo fans, like, or is that something you're itching for? Is that like a nerve-wracking thing to you?
If people recognize me, they love to talk about how they love all things Bravo. That's like a through line. It's not just the show, it's like they love everything about Bravo. And I'm like, okay, like, right. I have my favorite shows, so like I get it. But I started this during pandemic, and we were supposed to have BravoCon, but then it got canceled. And I remember them telling me, I was like, oh, do I have to go? Like, I don't know what they're like. Yes, it's like the fans love it. So, hopefully it'll work out with my schedule to go. I don't know if I can, but if I do, it'll be fun to watch. I don't know. I have no idea what to expect. I've gone to a lot of like cons, like comic cons, with Rob. Our friends,
I'm sure.
So we've seen it before. So I've seen but I think it sounds different because those ones are like very much like.
It's different because I mean, Crystal, like, you know, there was the big Watch What Happens Live recording that was like 75.
You're like glowing talking about this. So I'm realizing how big this is.
No, but I'm telling you, like, I just think because you are going to be, if you go, if and when you go, you are part of the attraction, right? You're one of the Bravo celebrities, and so it's like the people who go to this, you know, you like I was standing outside the big theater before that Watch What Happens Live taping, and you would have thought that, you know, Jennifer Aniston and Brad Pitt had just shown up together, like and it was the Vanderpump Rules cast. So it's like you're around your people, and it's just it's a different feeling, you know.
Well, then I really need to figure out how to go because
I think you do.
Yeah, it sounds fun. And look, I mean, that's who's watching the show, and that's who's entertained. And yeah, I have no idea what to expect. But I'm excited. I mean, I enjoy all these moments, regardless how hard they are. I still find it's all new to me still.
Yeah.
So,
and I remember interviewing at the end of your last season, and I was like, are you going to come back? And you still seemed a little bit unsure of that, but I feel like you seem really sure right now in this experience, and I like to see that because I love to have you on the show and to be able to watch you and share your story. So it's been really fun.
I really appreciate that. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Crystal, it was so fun to get some time with you. I'm excited for this season. The premiere is amazing, and clearly we have a lot of surprises in store, especially when it comes to you. So the ride is just beginning.
Thank you so much, and I hope to talk to you good.
Yeah. Thanks, Crystal. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for tuning in to We Should Talk. I hope you enjoyed the interview. You can find out more about In the Know at intheknow.com. You can follow me, Gibson Johns, at Gibsonoma on Twitter and Instagram. And you can listen to all of our interviews, past and future, by searching We Should Talk wherever you get your podcasts. Hope to see you next time.